Beautiful time on Enterprise Chat at MSME Africa. Well, of course, this is where we come and talk about everything business, entrepreneurship, and I mean business growth, generally speaking. Yes, we're looking at one of the key factors to boost a business, something that every business organization needs, and that is funding. We're looking at the application process for the Bank of Industry loan. A lot of people have heard about Bank of Industry. They've also heard about the loan, but they do not know how to go about getting the loan. So today we're talking to the principal consultant and CEO of Freshlook Consulting, and he is Emmanuel Benedict, a highly accomplished business development consultant with a proven track record of success. I'm going to leave it at that. Mr. Benedict, good to have you on the conversation. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, Freshlook. I mean, that sounds fresh, really. But tell us what this is all about.
Oh, okay. Freshlook Consulting Enterprise. We are a national business development service providers for the Bank of Industry. We have a national license to cover the entire country on behalf of the bank. And we have been involved with helping SMEs access finance, since 2012. And we are also one of the best performing business development consultants in the bank in the last 4 to 5 years. We've been able to help businesses access up to the tune of 50 million US dollars. And in 2022, we won the best performing business development service providers for the Bank of Industry. And it's something we do with a passion to bring in the lifeblood to businesses by providing finance to them to be able to improve on their bottom line.
I was just listening to you and I was saying a whole lot of wow, wow, wow. Good enough. Like you also stated in 2022, you emerged as the overall business development consultant in the Bank of Industry for bringing in the most projects. That's quite commendable. So, but I want to get a better understanding about what this Bank of Industry loan basically is.
Okay, Bank of Industry, from the name, is a bank that was set up for industries to be able to access funding, from, so that they can be able to support their asset financing needs. So most businesses who are into manufacturing or into processing, and Bank of Industry is not set up for every kind of business. It's only set up for people who are involved in manufacturing of tangible goods with added value. And also people who are also into services with also added value. These are the persons or people who can approach the Bank of Industry for their loan facility. And the Bank of Industry loan facility is the cheapest you can have anywhere in the country, and also is the longest term of loan facility you can have. And that's why the beauty of the Bank of Industry loan is appealing to most manufacturers and most people who are into processing of raw material into finished products.
Wow, I would have said that I think you peeped into my notepad to check my next question, but of course, I also want to ask you, because yes, of course, I understand about, but some people might be wondering, how accessible is this loan?
Okay, the loan is quite accessible to those who are prepared for it. The challenges why most SMEs complain about the process of the Bank of Industry loan is because of lack of preparation and lack of preparation and lack of adequate documentation. So most SMEs don't have the documentation required to a facility. And that is why people like us exist, to bridge that gap for them, where we come into businesses and we help them to bridge that gap of lack of documentation. We help them to regularize their business processes and also make them to meet the risk assessment criteria of the bank in order for them to be able to access funding from that institution. So many businesses complain of the lack of accessibility of the loan facility because they are ill-prepared. They don't have adequate or the required documentations to meet the bank requirements. And so we come in to be able to bridge that gap.
Okay, but I mean, other than lack of adequate documentation and ill-preparedness, are there other reasons people are not able to access this loan really?
Yeah, some other reasons could be exposure to already existing loan facility from other financial institutions, because the financial, the BOFIA, the Banking and Other Financial Institution Acts require that if an individual or a business is exposed to another financial institution, they will not be able to access loan facility from a second institution. So many people come to the bank and they are already exposed to other financial institutions, and because of that, their loan facility is turned down, especially if the loan facility is not performing. But if a loan is performing, definitely you'll be able to access the facility from the bank. And we also have other issues, why businesses are not able to access this facility, because many persons are not even informed. So there's an information gap, between the SME operators and the financial institution. So that knowledge gap also needs to be bridged, in order for them to be well informed on how that the Bank of Industry is accessible to them. So a lot of information needs to be passed across or put out there for SMEs to be able to access those facilities.
Well, how much of this loan is, made accessible to SMEs really? How much, if I want to get a loan from the Bank of Industry, how much, and what are like the criteria?
Okay, yes. For you to access a loan from Bank of Industry, we have 3 categories of loan from the bank. We have the micro loans. The micro loans are loans that are between 1 to 10 million naira. And these loans that are micro loans, they are non-collateralized loans. They are loans that does not require the provision of collateral or security, mortgage for you to be able to access them. Then we have the second category of loan, which is the SME loan. The SME loans are loans above 10 million up to the tune of 500 million. These are the SME loans which require the use of collateral to be able to access them. Then we also have the large enterprises. Now, the large enterprises are those enterprises that are, they have a turnover of at least 2 billion naira, and they can access loan facility between 500 million, even up to the tune of 1 billion, and above that. So those are the 3 categorizations of loan facility. And what it takes to actually access this facility, both for the micro, the requirements are not the same. The requirement for the micro loans are different from the requirement for the SME loans, and they are also different from the requirement for the large enterprises.
Can you please share these requirements, because it is quite important?
Okay, yes. So we have what we call the checklists that the bank requires that any businesses that approaches them to take loan facility, should be able to provide. Number 1, we have that the businesses must be registered. They must have their registration document with the Corporate Affairs Commission. They must have, for those who are accessing the micro loan, business names registration suffices. But for those who want to take loan under the SME category, they must have limited liability companies. These are companies who are limited by shares, and also these are companies with directors, and also shareholders in the company. And also, the checklist that the bank gives to you, apart from the CAC Corporate Affairs Commission documents, the certificate of registration is required. The certificate for board of directors must also be provided, which is known as the CAC 7, particulars of directors CA7 has to be provided. Then we also have the allotment of shares, which is CA2, also has to be provided. Then we also have the MEMAT, the Memorandum and Article of Association of the company, must be provided to the bank as well. But this time, I think in the new CAMA law, CAMA was since 1990, it has been repealed and enacted. And also there's a new CAMA of 2022 or so, I think, or 2023 as amended, which also require that the CAC 2 and 7 is no longer existing. So you have what we call the status reports. So the status report comprises of the CAC 7 and CAC 2, for you to provide unto the bank. So that suffices. Also, the bank will require you to also provide your means of identification. Your means of ID has to be either your international passport, your driver's license, or your national identity card, and also your driver's license. So you could provide the means of identification. You are also required to provide your BVN. Your BVN is also a requirement because the bank will also like to know your exposure to other financial institutions, because credit search will have to be taken, for them to understand your financial position across all banks in Nigeria. Also, the bank will like you to also provide your audited financial statements. If you are a limited liability company, you should be auditing your accounts every year. So the bank will like to see your audited financial for the past 3 years for them to be able to decide if your bottom line or your balance sheet is adequate enough to absorb the loan facility you are seeking for. Also, the bank will also like you to also provide your CV, the CV of your management staff. That business must be well run, it must be well managed by professional individuals. So the bank will like to see their profile, and also the profile of the owners of the business, which are the directors of the business. The bank will also like to see their profile. So those are requirements that you have to provide. Another basic requirement is also the provision of pro forma invoices. When you want the bank to finance whatever item for you, you should be able to give them a pro forma invoice to tell them how much these items cost, and also they will need this cost from at least 2 different suppliers to be able to know if these items, are cost effective and all of that. So you must provide a pro forma invoice. Apart from the pro forma invoice, the bank will also like to have your passport photograph. And also, you also need to fill an application form, provide a business plan, very important, because your business plan will show the bank the roadmap of where the business currently is and also where the business will want to be in the next 5 years. You will need to make a projection to the bank and also give them, a financial projection, for them to understand the financial position of the business. So after the business plan is provided, you also, the bank will also like you to have your photographs. And basically, these are basic requirements needed, and also your tax clearance for the business and also for the directors will also be required. Once you are able to meet and provide this various documentation, you should be able to access the loan from the bank.
Wow. Quite a whole lot. I mean, I'm sure that everyone wanting to learn from all of that you have said, but of course I feel like it's not just enough to have the requirements, but there should also be the need to know how to go about getting this loan, which I believe this is where you now come in. What are the strategies, what are the steps that you need to take even when you have the requirement? Because I know somebody who didn't get the loan. He seemed to, have a number of things, but probably he wasn't doing it the right way. What is the right way?
Okay, the right way is to be able to approach a business development service provider. These are people who understand the requirements of these banks. We have templates that the bank require to be able to, meet their risk assessment criteria. So a business developer will be able to guide you or handhold you, into meeting the requirements of this financial institution. So what we normally do is basically to reorganize your business processes and also provide you, with the documentations required we collaborate with other institutions who provide this documentation, and then we save you the time, we save you the time and costs, of trying to do this by yourself. And then we ensure that by the time we approach the bank, you will almost get a yes, certainly.
Wow. Wow, good. I love yeses. I love, everyone loves it. Thank you so much, Emmanuel Benedict, Principal Consultant and CEO of Freshlook Consulting CEO. Thank you so much for sharing your insights and, guiding us through the application process for the Bank of Industry loan. I'll let you go now, but before you go, I don't know if you have final words. Do you have any other thing you want to say before you go?
Okay, my final words is that the Bank of Industry loan is easily accessible to those who are passionate entrepreneurs and manufacturers, and there's nothing difficult about accessing the facility. Many people or business owners have been accessing this facility, and they've been meeting the requirements, and then their businesses has also been doing well. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Like you said, to access this loan, you need to just plug yourself to the right source. Thank you once again for joining the conversation.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. This is where we draw the curtains. We're bringing the conversation to a close. Thank you all for joining us. It was nice having this conversation today. Don't forget you can connect with us on our social media platform on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at MSME Africa. Until we see you on the next episode of Enterprise Chats, goodbye.